Good morning. Welcome to beautiful Ålleberg, the home of the Swedish Gliding Federation, and to this electric gliding conference at Ålleberg, Elsko. It's an exciting project, I think, and it will be I hope two exciting days for all of us. And I would like to say a special welcome to Peter Eriksson, the President of the International Gliding Commission. He is not here, he's coming tonight. But we also have the President of the European Gliding Union, Airfield from Norway. And I come back to some other people. And this conference is organized by Segelflyget, the Swedish Gliding Federation, and the Nordic Gliding magazine. And from Segelflyget, I am Trabolt, I think you know me, most of you. I'm chairman of the federation, and we have Henrik back there. He's our CEO. And at this conference, up here, I am the boss. At the Airfield, he is the chief of operations. So he's the god. You shall do as he says down there. And we also have Thomas Larsson.
Yes, it's me.
He's a glider pilot and a gliding instructor from Skövde. He started working for the federation last week, I think. He's going to work with club development and club support. And then we have Torbjörn, who is running around somewhere. He's our chief technical officer. He's down there. Hey, go down and Torbjörn say, hey! Hey! And then we have Jens Trabolt, the editor of Nordic Gliding magazine. His job here is to just to keep out of the way. Yeah. But he will take care of all the recording, taking pictures and writing about this. Yeah. And we are also recording all the lectures that they will be presented later on the Nordic Gliding YouTube
on the
channel.
YouTube channel. Yeah,
yes. So and I hope there is no one who is against us recording this.
We cannot see you on the camera. We can only see the presenter. But if you ask questions, your voice will be recorded just for the sake of argument. Yeah.
And this project, it's financially sponsored by the Swedish Airsport Federation. So, because we have many people from abroad with the gliders, from the factories, etc. So we speak English. But of course you can speak Swedish if no one hears you. And you shall wear this badge, because this badge is a sign that you belong to this conference. So we don't accept any other people here. This is for you. And you should, when you have breakfast up here, you should sign on the list that you take breakfast. And you have to arrange your own lunch and dinner. You can have it here, or I will show you where you can have it as well. And the schedule is very tight. So try to keep the clock, the time. And if you have questions and such things, and the time is short, we have the whole day or the whole afternoon at the Airfield, where you can ask questions to the representatives of the lecturers. And all flights will be down at Falköping at the big airport, most of you know. And we will make all launches by Aerotower. Two of them are self-launcher, but we don't want to use the battery for takeoffs. So we will make Aerotowers, but the self-launch, it will be demonstrated with the AS-34 and the Lark 17. They will demonstrate self-launching. And if you want to fly the single-seaters, you must have minimum 300 hours gliding and a valid the CSSG or SLG rating. If you don't have that, you have to stick to the two-seaters. But they are also good, especially one of them. And when you run it, because with the electric engine you have you can only drive the engine for about 25 minutes, 25-30 minutes. So that means that you're only allowed to run the engine for 3 minutes per flight. So that we can all fly with it, all right. So, so we don't end up with 2 people are flown and then the battery is flat. And the maximum flight time is 45 minutes if you find turnoff. The weather is going to be good. And also the museum at the other side of this wall. The entrance is at that end of the hangar. It's open these days, so you should take the opportunity to visit it. It's very nice. And this is a map of Ålleberg. We are here now in the museum building, old hangar. This was the original building here, built in 1941. So it's very old. Maybe the roof will fall down, I don't know. And we have the airstrip. We are not flying here, but just to show you. And we are here. And you have the toilets, shower, sauna here. Parking is here. You are living down here, most of you. And the code for the sauna is 1891. That is the year when Otto Lilienthal started gliding. So it's easy to remember. And then here at this house, up here, there are toilets. You know, I think you know it. And this is, we are flying down here at the Falköping Airport. And then we are up here now. And when you go to them, you drive down the hill, keep to the left all the time until here, then you turn right, out to the main road, and then you turn left. And in this roundabout, there are a hotel, restaurant, and there is also McDonald's. If some of you like to eat such crap food. But in this roundabout, you take to the right and drive up here. And then you enter the airfield here, you park the car here, and then you have to walk down we are flying from. Henrik will come back to that. So that's the way to get there. And this is the time schedule for today. We are here now. In the next, Jens will give an introduction to electric glide or whatever we call it. And then unfortunately, Axel Lange, who designed the first electrical glider, Antares, 20 years ago, they put it in production. He's not coming because he has caught COVID. And he's so ill, so he can't even join us on Teams. So that's a pity. And then we have Hjalmar from DG. He's here, I think.
Yes.
Stand up. He has the D1000E Neo. And then after that, we go down, we come back to the practical details, Henrik. We go down hill and fly. And tonight, after dinner, we start again at 18:45. Then Luca, Mr. Face, he will join us on Teams. After that, Till Honighaus will join us on Teams. And then Heino Klein, who is a battery professor, he will also join us on Teams. And then Mike Groves, is Mike here? Stand up. Mike is from Sky Launch, and he will talk about electric winches. And tomorrow, after all the briefings, etc., we will, Björn Engström, he's here. Björn, stand up. He will talk about, he has made a case study on is it feasible to have an electric engine in a pony. And then Patrick from Schleicher will talk about their gliders. Patrick is here. And after that, Martin, he will talk about the electric cars, towing gliders with electric cars, if it is possible. It is possible. He will tell you that it's very good.
Possible.
And then, before we go almost in the more, is from Vitas. From Vitas is here. He's the boss of the LAUC. He will talk about LAUC. And then the last presentation will be by Henrik on flight safety with electric glider, because we are quite sure that when we start flying with electric gliders, we will find a whole new ways to crash gliders, just like we did when we started flying with turbo engines. And then at 6 o'clock we will close the conference. I think we will do it down at the airfield, because those of you who are not staying, because we will start the Nordic meeting on Friday, so you have to leave your room. Easy to do it before we go down to fly tomorrow.
And we will collect all the keys for the room before we go down tomorrow.
Det kan vi väl lägga när man lägger i bastun.
But I think it's better we collect them.
Yeah, we can collect here at briefing tomorrow. We collect the keys from you. And the glider bosses, the responsible or the owners, whatever you say, for the gliders we have is for the HD32, it's Robin. He's in charge of that glider. And for the HD34, it's Patrick. And for the Discus 2C, which comes from a Danish club, it's Jens. And Hjelmer is for the DD1000. And for the LARC 17C, it's Vitas. And then I have appointed. You may, if you say it now, you may have a chance not to do it, but you are ordered to do this. These people, your assistants that will help out with the gliders. It's easier so. So you will see that it will be rigged today and parked tonight, and help the bosses here. So it's Martin Ekdal and Börje on the 32, okay?
Yes.
And the Christer and Magnus on the 34.
Sure.
And Ulf and Anders Pettersson, is Anders here? On the Discus. And on the DD1000 it's Ulf and Per.
Okay.
And on the LARC 17 Knut and Thomas.
A little bit apprehensive about tomorrow evening then.
But then you're number 2 in succession, so then you have to order the number 3.
Yeah, okay.
So no problem.
Okay, yeah.
So the goal for this 2 days is to learn, to have fun, and to create networks between the clubs and with the representatives and the manufacturers. And then we shall also remember that we have 5 gliders here, but there are many more electric gliders on the market. And there is not only Skylaunch, there is a German Winch also. And electric cars. There are not only Teslas, but I only found a picture of a Tesla. So, this is, the future is electric, and that is what we are going to do here. Okay, questions so far?
I think this is the biggest collection of electric gliders anywhere in the Nordic countries ever.
And you're welcome to leave them behind. You don't have to. Okay, before Henrik take over, we will have a short weather briefing. The weather is good enough for the flying we are doing, but anyway. This is the general situation. High pressure area over the whole of southern Scandinavia. And we have cold, it's northerly winds, you can feel it, the autumn is coming. If we look at this öar, it says it will be 17 degrees maximum northerly wind here in Falköping. And this is top meteo. I didn't look at the sky side. Top meteo says we are here, 1,400, 1,200, 1,300 meters cloud base. Quite a lot of clouds in the afternoon. And if we look at the This is the forecast of Falköping. You say we will have cumulus clouds, 2-3 octaves, and they spread out during early afternoon, and then it will start drying out. Cumulus clouds, cloud base 1200-1300 meters. The climb rate is not that good. It was not yesterday. The sky looked so beautiful, but the climb rate was 1 meter or so. But of course, it was nice to fly. So if we look at the sounding according to RASP, you see it's not at the 12 o'clock. It starts. We will have it's quite moist up from 1500 meters. You can see from the sounding here that we have spread outs at the 1-2 o'clock, and then it starts to dry up. So tomorrow the Almos is more dry. It will be less cumulus tomorrow. And you can see the wind is weak northerly. So we will start from the south end of the Airfield. So that's good enough for what we are doing. So now it's Henrik. Oh. Kommer att tänka på här. Tack. Jag laddar ner.
We will later have a coffee break, which will be served in the next room. And there will also be water, fresh fruits and so on, so you can go and grab if you want to. So, but we will have a short break here, I guess, when it's suitable. Okay, I will talk some practical things about the flying here at Ålleberg and Falköping.
Det var pdf du fick det
bara ligga ner. Okay, we are in this area. Falköping Ålleberg is very close, and we have a restricted area around Ålleberg. We will not use that. It's mainly for our cloud flying activities, so we will not use it.
And you might say,
I will.
They said the enda här om vi får säkerhet.
Yeah, of course. We normally say that we own this airport, and we also partly own the airspace above us. So we have had this restricted area for many years, and we are also privileged to use it whenever we want to. So we have priority over the Swedish Air Force, which is quite good. I would like to also say that today and tomorrow we have a restricted area north of Falköping due to military activity, but it is today and tomorrow only active during the evening, late evening. But some of you may have noticed it, so but I don't think we will have that long flights, so we'll fly close within the area of Falköping. There is no issue. We have also an extended restricted area for cloud flying, and we also have a restricted area for the prison in Tidaholm. So there's a lot of restricted areas, but we can fly in the vicinity of Falköping today without any problems. We're close between these two airports, and Ålleberg is a very small airfield, of course, so we will see when we will fly down the gliders and fly back the gliders in the evening. So if some of you will participate in that activity, it's important that we support and get the gliders off the runway as possible, because it's a very narrow airstrip here. I would like to also show you that when we have flying activities both at Ålleberg and Falköping Airport, you can see the circuits is very close to each other. So normally when we fly at Ålleberg, we normally fly circuit depending on the wind, so we always fly on the wind side with the gliders. And in Falköping we can have two circuits depending on what strip we use. And here I also have the circuit for airplanes using the runway, and here you can see that if the airplane's doing a bigger circuit, it will interfere with the circuit at Ålleberg. So it's important to know that we can have traffic. But hopefully today and tomorrow will be not that many other traffic here. Here you can see Ålleberg. It's very nice, roughly 100 meters above surrounding terrain, which will be roughly 100 meters when you land at Ålleberg or Falköping, the difference. At Ålleberg we have frequency 123.40, and here you can see, depending on the wind, that we have 4 possibilities to start our landing circuit. And the only thing we need to remember is to start on the side where the wind comes from. But today it will be rather calm winds, and also tomorrow, so it's no big issue. But when it's a windy day here at Ålleberg, it's important to understand that we will have ridge lifting on the wind side, and we will have quite severe sink on the lee side. But we will fly at Falköping, which is very convenient because it's a rather big airport, and we have a runway, but we also have 2 grass strips on either side, so it's very suitable to accommodate a lot of traffic. Over here we have the club and the hangars, and here's the road you can see from the roundabout, and here's the parking. And the best way to get out to the flight operations is to walk along this side and then to walk on this western side. And when we use runway 04 or grass strip 04, we will start in this part and tow northbound. And we will then have a starting point somewhere in this area, so we can land the gliders and very easily then take off from the same starting point. And if it's somehow crowded, we can also use the other side, the eastern side, and of course we can also use the concrete. And today it seems that we will have this quite calm northerly wind, so we will use 04. And yeah, it's along this side. And here you can see the circuit when we are operating with gliders at Falköping. We have a different frequency, 123.35, which means we have to remember to change. We can also decide to monitor each other's frequency, because I guess we have in all gliders modern radios. When we operate here, you just think about if we are on the west grass strip, we then have our procedures over the city, and it will be a left-hand circuit to grass strip west 04. And if someone would like to land on the eastern grass strip, I think it's suitable to even use this landing circuit. Otherwise, we normally fly on the eastern side, so we never cross the runway. But I guess there will be not that much traffic today, but that's the procedure we normally use. So you can then report downwind and then say that you're landing on the west grass strip or the east grass strip. But you do not need to move gliders a long way, because it's a very long field, so we can manage to tow from that. So I don't think it's a major problem.
But we will have a tow with them.
Yeah, we will have, but I don't think it's necessary. It's roughly 1,300, 1,400 meter of grass strip. And as a reminder, we will have a possibility to note your interest on what glider you would like to start to fly. And we will see how to arrange, so we will have
we will send that list around during the next presentation.
Yeah.
You fill it in.
And we decided that all tows will be 700 meters, and we will use a pony and a Super Cub for air towing. And then we will also take care of register all the flights. So we will have a good knowledge about who will fly what and so on. Okay. Any questions so far?
So the runway length again, you said...
The concrete is 1300 meter and the grass strip is almost 1500 meters.
But if we start almost in the middle, how much is
It
that?
will be not in the middle. I think we will start roughly 300 meter from the south end. So we will have a very good margin. More than
So
1000
meters.
Yeah, 1000 meter roughly.
Okay.
More questions?
And when you tick this list, write your name and tick one glider. And when you have flown that glider, you can write your name again and tick another glider.
Okay, very good. And when we will be flying down in Falköping, we are guests at the local aero club, Falbygdens Aero Club, and there you will have a possibility to use toilets, bathroom, and we will also see if we can manage. So, if you would like to go and buy ice cream or coffee, there are also a possibility to do that in the clubhouse. Otherwise, you are very close to restaurants and likes. So I think it will be rather good. So yeah, end of presentation.
Okay, questions to Henrik?
Tomorrow, Henrik, the laws of the...
Yeah, that's correct. There will be a local activity with the car driving school.
Yes.
So they will be on the apron, on the northern part of the apron. But I think we will manage that also. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
What's
And also in the club.
Yeah, Hjalmar.
about starting up? You said maybe the first launch from here, or do we do...
No, we come back to that.
Okay, so we start that directly there.
But yeah, we can say that. Two things that, because we have lectures tonight, so we have to be back here and have a dinner. We start again at 18:45. So last tow will be at 4 o'clock. So we have time. I mean, 45 minutes means that if you land later than 16:45, you're out. but then we should have plenty of time to park the glide and have dinner and be back here at 18:45. And for today, we will the HJ32 is already down there, rigged, and we will take the DD1000 and the Discus and rig them down there. And the 34 and the Lark 17 is in the hangar here. So Vitas, you have to fly it down, and Patrick, you fly the 34 down. And that means that more or less when you pass the northern end of Ålleberg, you can release and just land straight in. So, but just a short flight to get the gliders down. And those who were now fathers, assistants, you will help the 34 and the Lark 17 to get away from here. And the other one, you help rig down at this. Good. Now,
One more.
Where's the threshold for the grass strip?
There is no really.
you can see.
We will plan to have the starting point so you can have the threshold at the same part as the concrete. There is a possibility to land even before, but if you not know about the terrain, I suggest you have the land after the concrete starts.
Yeah.
And then we have enough.
And you, as I said, we have the car with the tow rope, so don't be afraid if you roll out.
And the same way, if you need to land on the eastern
Yeah.
street, no worries, we will manage that. The only thing I would like to say is also it's difficult to see on the picture here, but we have a small hill here because it's a megalith grave from the Stone Age, so we were not able to move that. So, but you will see that clearly, and it's a lot of space between that and the runway, concrete runway, when you land on these strips, so no big issue. And it's also possible to land even in the middle of the strip if you need to. So
The concrete is not allowed to land?
yes, of course, you can use that.
Okay.
But
If it's full,
yeah, it's no problem. So you have 3 opportunities to land on if you need to.
It's a very, very big airfield.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is to do it safely.
Yeah.
Land so it's safe. Don't land short just to avoid work.
Yeah.
We all need to exercise.
Okay.
Robert, will the 34 take off by self-launching from Ålleberg?
No,
No.
we will aerotow them down.
will
But
take
we, as I said earlier, when we are down there, Patrick and Vitas, they will demonstrate self-launch.
I like to see it from Ålleberg.
No, but we want to preserve the batteries.
But shall we start with that demonstration, Robert? The self-launch demonstration now, when we come down.
Yeah, we can do that.
So
I think many of us want to see that self-launch.
Yeah, so-
as it is. So better looking for when it's going to happen, so
Yeah.
we don't miss it.
But I think what we will start when we leave here, perhaps we will leave a little bit earlier than
Yeah, because
scheduled. So then we have the lunch break, and then we may decide, so we have all the participants down there for this demonstration. Okay?
I can tell you that the 34 Hunheim, the slideshow field is 420 meter long. Correct, Patrick?
Yes.
Yeah. And when I flew the 34, I needed 250 meters to get that one. They are very powerful. Okay?
Yeah.
Then the first presentation is by our editor, Jens.
Thank you.
He is Danish, so that is not necessary.
Men jeg tænker, jeg snakker dansk, det kan I forstå. I will speak English for the English speakers here. Okay, so I guess, Robin, you told me to set the stage for electric gliding in this presentation. It's a very long presentation, so I'm trying to compress it as much as I can. So bear with me if the slides are going a little bit too fast. Stop me if you don't get it, okay?
And you can always ask questions afterwards, down there.
Yes. So first, I'm a pilot and flight instructor. I've done test flights on roughly 10 different types of electric gliders. And I would say the first one I did was the E-Genius from Stuttgart University, and that was a total revelation. It's one of the biggest, most powerful flight experiences I've ever had in any kind of aircraft. And I've also flown the F-16, by the way. And that has 100,000 kilowatt engine, 100 megawatt engine. And I also flown many of the FES engines, gliders, which has a 22 kilowatt engine. And it can even fly on 4 kilowatt. With the FES engine, it's totally possible to have electric flight today. With the F-16 and the jumbo jets, and it's not possible right now. So we will start in gliding. Gliding is a very, very good place to begin. So in this talk, I will talk about the pros and cons of going electric, and I will talk a little bit about the automotive industry, actually quite a bit actually, because it's driving the innovation. And then if we have time, I will look at some of the gliders, but I don't know if we have time. We will have a look at that. So why are we kind of discarding the pony? It's not really necessary, because it's doing a quite nice job, I think. But if we look at the CO2 levels, they've always been fluctuating. This goes back almost 1 million years, and this is the ice core samples. And if you can see, there's always been fluctuations in the CO2 levels, almost up to 300 ppm. But if we zoom in on the past 300 years, this is ice core data before '58, and then we have some atmospherical data from Hawaii. Then we see around 1965, 70, there's a big increase in CO2 levels in the atmosphere. And when I did this update on this presentation, it was 418, which is quite a lot. So fluctuations the past million years, but in the last 50 years it's gone up. So you can ask yourself this question, why is this? Then if you look at the energy consumption in the world, you can see that around 1950 things goes bananas. You know, in the Stone Age we were not using that much Netflix and driving around and things like that. We were busy dying of the plague and things like that. But here we are just burning lots of coal, lots of oil, lots of natural gas. And that's why we're doing this. Like, see, we spent almost many million years growing in population from 0 to 1 billion people. And then it took 50 years to grow from 1 billion to, how many are we now? 8 billion? Yeah. So any engineers or doctors, raise your hand here. How many are engineers or doctors? This is all your fault. Because you're making the world too safe and too efficient and too easy to get food and things like that. So this is all your fault, but we can fix it, I think.
No, people fly too much.
Jens, you don't have to use our inventions.
That's true. But then we have a nice hydrogen reactor in the sky, so we can get free fuel. And they say that 1 hour of sunlight, if you could catch it and store it, you can power all energy demands on Earth for a full year. I don't know if that's true, that's what they say. It's quite stable, we'll have fuel for another 5 billion years. Then it will be uncomfortable because then it will kind of explode and engulf the Earth. But oil and coal, that will run out eventually. I'm sure it will be. So if we take that sunlight and convert it into electricity, then we will have some fuel for our electric engines, and they have a lot of pros, I think. They are quiet, vibration-free, there's no oil or smoke. The energy efficiency is very, very good. It's about 90% for the best electric motors. How much is it in a solar turbo? 25%, maybe? Something like that. I've just bought the latest generation Toyota Prius, and Toyota is bragging that it is the most thermally efficient fossil engine you can get, and it has 40%. 40%. And then, of course, if you use clean energy, clean electricity, there's no carbon emission during use. In Denmark, it's around 50% of the energy mix that is green. Last year, I think. And also, when you use the engines, there's no emission of soot or NOx or anything like that high up in the atmosphere, which is, of course, jet engines are much worse because they're very, very high up. And then what we as glider pilots are interested is in this low pilot workload. That is the most important thing for me. Of course, the green thing is important, but the workload, the safety thing is important, because in the old gliders, motorized gliders, you were busy with handles and propeller stops and ignitions and fuels, cocks and everything. But here, the engineers have done the thing with the software. They've done all the work with the software, and you will just flick one switch or one lever, and the software will do the rest. Then there's the issue with fewer mechanical parts, which should lead to higher safety and less maintenance cost. And also, of course, the gasoline for the electric engine is cheaper. And if you look at the trend, then I mean, if you're a new engineer, I would not recommend going into fossil engines or studying turbochargers and things like that. I think investment is going into the electric engines and battery technology now, and I think the money that are being allocated these areas are actually the proof of this. And also, in the beginning, the certification standards were not really that clear, so it was difficult to certify electric engines and systems, but these certification standards are improving. I think the authorities, they did not know what questions to ask, really. I think they were interested in, but that was the problem. So, but there are also downsides, of course, with this, because it's a new thing, and they're almost all battery related. Of course, we have limited energy density in the batteries. They're heavy, and you cannot fly very. I mean, all this discussion we've had this morning about we have to reserve some power for self-launch demonstrations and things like that. That kind of highlights the thing. It takes a long time to charge, and they're quite expensive, the batteries, so far. They're heavy, and they are delicate, as I'm sure some of the FES owners who dropped the batteries on the floor and caught fire, they will attest to that. And then, of course, they are resource demanding, and some of the minerals that are used in the batteries are mined in how can you put it, less than wonderful conditions. But I think that is improving also. Tesla will disband the use of cobalt in the new battery type, as far as I know. So we have some pros and we have some cons. But I think the automotive industry is going to help us a lot, because they have the volume, and when you have the volume, you'll always get cheaper technology and better technology. We've seen that with mobile phones. I mean, this mobile phone costs 1,100 Danish kroner, and it is probably 10,000 times more powerful than the first mobile phones in 1984. And those phones, they cost around 100,000 maybe, something like that at that time. And this is all the growth in the battery electric vehicle sales. And I don't think you have to be a professor in statistics to see that this is a trend that is really going somewhere. And Tesla came in I don't remember whether it was 13 or 14 with the S, and they really kickstarted the whole electric, the desirability for electric cars, and showed that it could actually be nice to have electric cars. How many electric car owners here, by the way? Okay, so I think you're not the average Swedish car owner. I think you're more than average. I think Norwegian car owners are much more than this, but you are quite something. But we see in 21 it really took up, almost a doubling. This is a forecast, by the way. I don't have the final number for 21, and I think also Corona, the COVID situation, they kind of slowed things down a little bit.
I think it will hit 10 million this year. Something.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But the trend is not to. I think it's quite clear. And you can see that the plug-in, the battery electric vehicles, they are taking a bigger share. The plug-in hybrids are quite big, but they will, in the long run, they will be a gap filler technology. I think they will be phased out, but that's a side thing. What also is really pushing innovation in gliding is also EU, because EU has mandated that the corporate average fuel emission for one brand of cars, example Volkswagen or Toyota, it must be 95 grams of CO2 per kilometer last year. That is the average fleet emission for a whole car brand. And in Denmark, where I have these numbers, it was 125. So it means 30 grams of CO2 per kilometer too much. And EU has devised a fine, and you will pay 95 euros per gram too much per kilometers. So on Danish cars, it means that it was 30 grams too much, you will pay 95 euros, and you can multiply that by the number of cars sold in Europe. And again, you don't have to be a statistics professor to count to do the arithmetic. It will be 2 billion euro in fine if the car manufacturers don't cut down on the emissions from the cars. And to make it even worse for the car manufacturers, this requirement will tighten to 59 grams in 8 years from now. That means the car manufacturers, they cannot produce fossil cars, even if the car dealerships want to sell them and the consumers want to buy them, it's not possible. So they have to make a mass introduction of plug-in hybrid vehicles and battery electric vehicles. And that will boost all the electronics we have in the gliders, for sure. So that's a little bit, it's a little bit off track to gliding, but it's quite important to understand. And of course the batteries we need in the gliders, that development will be boosted as a result of this development. The red line is the current policy. This is the supply and demand for batteries, and we are right here. So even at the most conservative estimate, the supply and demand will be doubled in 5-6 years from now, and the most advanced political scenarios, it will be tripled or something like that. So lots of batteries. This is the Tesla Giga 1 factory in Nevada. When it was built for 5 years ago, it doubled the capacity for lithium-ion batteries in the world, just by opening this factory. And there's lots of factories being built right now. One in northern Sweden, which is delivering batteries to Volkswagen. So lots of money, investment, and innovation going into this area, which has been previously stagnant for many years. So quite interesting. Tesla forecasts 30 times growth by 2030. Tesla has always been a little bit radical with their prognosis, but we shall see. Quite interesting when we talk about prices for batteries. In 2018, it cost $180 per kilowatt hour at pack level for Model 3. And now it's around $130 per kilowatt hour in pack level, including the pack and the batteries. And there's some prognosis that suggests that we will go down to $100 next year. And this is interesting because then you reach price parity with fossil engines. Then, it's quite expensive to have exhaust pipes and fuel gas tanks and gearboxes and all the auxiliary things that you need for a fossil engine. Then the electric systems will be cheaper if we can get the battery price down to that. I think that's an interesting thought. Once that happens, it will push the development of this technology that we need for our gliders. This was the Tesla battery tablets I was talking about. They will not use cobalt. They claim that they're lower cost, high density, resistance, and better fit in battery packs. Interestingly, the FES batteries, the two boxes, they are 2 times 15 kilos and total 4.2 kilowatt hours. LZ Design, who manufactures the FES batteries, they made this prototype with 8.9 kilowatt hours, which was only 30% bigger with some new Crocam cells. And they were ready to go forward with it. And Luca is not here, I'm not sure he will be happy to hear, but Crocam, the company that supplies the batteries from South Korea, very big manufacturer, they decided to switch their production into energy storage instead of making batteries for power applications. So that means that on the specification sheet, they would have a lower C rating, so lower discharge rating for the batteries, which meant that it could not be used for aggressive, high power appliances like this aircraft. So it worked, but they have to find LZ Design have to find new cells for this. But it shows that going from 4.2 kilowatt hours to almost 9 with only a 30% weight increase, that's something. And that's in the span of 7-8 years or something like that, maybe 10 years. Okay, as I told you at the beginning, gliders are very good places to experiment, and we've always experimented in gliding. We invented winglets, we invented carbon fiber for aviation, and now we have this wonderful FES engine in the nose, and the electric engines, and Vitas. I think it was very nice of luck to be some of the first to go with the fab. I think you should have that credit, at least, yeah.
And we have heard the story why it was then.
Okay, but this is timeline over introduction of new electric gliders. We see Antares very early 2003, and then there was a big gap, and then there was Ultralights, Pipistrel, and Adisport. RQC, also a prototype, and then LAC and EB, and then the whole thing came. And now you see it's been increasing, and also we have the FES engines in the 2-seat gliders now. It's a very nice concept, by the way. So, how I'm doing for time, Robin? You must push
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, I'll hurry even more. If we look at some of the pioneers, this is the Paul McCready. You know Paul McCready, right? With the McCready ring. Yeah. This was one of his projects, and this could fly. She was a glider pilot. She weighed 42 kilos. The pilot. She was very light, and it would fly on 450 watts of power. That's insane. I mean, the discus, the FES, will fly on 4 kilowatt, and that's not a lot. This would do like 450 kilowatt, 450 watt. Then came the Sunseeker with Paul Eric Raymond, which he's a very cool guy. He has the Sunseeker Duo now, which is a 2-seat side-by-side. It's a very cool aircraft. Then he was the first to fly across America, actually. He's a total renegade. Yeah. Then came Stuttgart University, who later built the E-Genius with this EKW2. It could fly, it was very efficient, fly on only 2 kilowatt of power. And the solar panels on the roof, on the wings could almost supply that. Then came the Lange Antares, which was quite admirably the first certified electric glider. And I believe that I think Lange, he's a quite special guy, he's quite stubborn. He was told that it was not possible, so he thought, I'm starting my own company, it can be possible to make this electric glider. So very nice glider. And they have some plans for, if he had been here, he would have told about plans for bigger battery packs and things like that. And you flew it, you flew it Bernd, last time, yeah. Then the E-Genius, quite cool aircraft. This was the first electric glider I flew. They just put some range extender for experimental purposes. Now they just done 2,000 kilometers in one go in it. Very cool aircraft. Very, very powerful. You could tow gliders with this one. Yeah, 6 meters per second climb. This is Eric Raymond. He was the first guy to fly across America. This is his second aircraft, and that can actually that can maintain flight on the solar power in the panels. Very, very cool aircraft. I flew in Switzerland, and he flew all day with guests, all day without recharging from the mains, all day. Did 10 launches. He's actually also the engineer that did the solar cell incorporation in the big experimental aircraft that flew around the world. The what they call solar impulse. Yeah, this one. Yeah, that did the longest flight. So there's the longest solar flight by a solar person in the world, from Japan to Hawaii, almost 5 days non-stop. I think when we fly 7-8 hours in our gliders and we're happy to land, this guy was almost 5 days in the cockpit non-stop. Very cool design, but not very practical. I think gliders are not very practical. This is beyond hopeless. you need a when you land, you need a hang guide. It will blow away. So it's so light. Okay. Then the Alpha Trainer came with Pipistrel, good for making circuits. This exists now in a certified version. You have it in Norway? Yeah. I'm sorry, I had to show this picture.
But maybe one will come here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. This was I flew this week before this happened, and nobody was injured, and they made a safe landing in the lake. And the cause was the batteries were full, as I understand, and the problem was that the cooling circuit had been dismantled and put back together again because there were some problems with the motor, and it had been And in the manual it was not properly described how to refill the cooling circuit. So in the inverter, there was a small air bubble passing through one of the sensors at one point. There's 3 sensors in the cooling jacket, and one of the sensors going because there was no air, there was no cooling flow. It was just a stagnant air bubble for a few seconds. Then one of the sensors tripped, overheat, and then it shut down. And that led to a revision of the manual and the work scheme how to refill the cooling, and also some other improvements which led to the certified version today, which is called the Velis. So that's an interesting story. The Onyx is quite interesting as well, very well working TMG. It's actually flying in Sweden somewhere right now, up in the Borlänge, I think. I think Mikael Roslund and I flew this aircraft flight number 2. The maiden flight was the engineer, and then Mikael and I we made flight number 2 in the logbook, and we were monitoring all the temperatures all the time. But it can fly a very, very long time and 300 kilometers it can fly, so quite efficient. Then the FES system is interesting. 275 gliders, I think, built to date around, and Discus Ventus Shark, LS8, E Minilock, Lock 17 Silent, GG1001, and Dual Discus FES as the last one in the line. Very easy to use, no pylon that needs to come up and down. It's quick and stress-free. I really, really enjoy flying this type of gliders. All the competition pilots, they will of course complain. There's the propeller will act as additional, drag. But it's they measured it. It's 1 to 2 points, and the ventilation. If you open the ventilation, it's 0.5. So it's really, really not a lot. Really, really not a lot. How many people here have flown with the turbo engines a little bit out by accident? Yeah, you have done that, and you have not noticed, right? No, okay. Yeah. Then the 34ME, which is a nice design, nice complete package, in my opinion. Not flown it, I hope to fly today. Very interesting. When Schleicher, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Schleicher, but it scored almost 10 decibel lower noise certification tests than the relatively quiet AH31MI. That's subjectively half the volume in noise, and I think noise will also be an issue in the future. So electric gliders are always also much quieter because they are much more energy efficient. So interesting concept. I think we will skip the videos because I don't think we have time. We can play that tonight. Of course, then another aircraft, another glider, which is more competition. I should say the Schleicher, the 34 is more focused on club and private owners who just want to fly and have fun.
34 is the Volksschleicher.
Yeah, exactly. It's the 30.
Volksschleicher.
Yeah. The JS3 is of course a competition aircraft, and I know that many have been ordered. They are currently waiting on the motor system, which is developed by a subdivision of Solo. I must say, I think Bernd and I, when we visited Solo in 2018, we were quite surprised to hear that they were playing with electric engines, because I fully expected to see this dinosaur company like, oh no, we have the gasoline engine, we don't believe in the electric, but it was nothing like that. So Emetric, which is Solo, has developed this electric engine, which is in the battery side in the fuselage. There are some waiting times right now due to components shortage, and also I think the certification has taken longer than they expected. But it's a quite interesting glider, for sure. Okay, so what can we do if we want electric gliders? We can buy them. It's very important that somebody goes paving the way, like Borås Segelflygklub, who bought the 32 EL, which was interesting because I think the big clubs should move forward, because the small clubs with 15 members cannot do it. So big clubs must do something. Then we must talk to the manufacturers what we want, speak to them, and we must lobby for the development of tow planes also, if that's possible. Björn will tell us later. And we must form working groups. And I think if we manage to do this, we have all the. I mean, the cards have been dealt, so we have the highest chance of succeeding with this. I mean, all the Cessna owners, they're in deep shit because they cannot electrify. I mean, so we have as Gliding, we have an opportunity to actually do this because we fly so efficient aircraft. So less noise complaints. I think we'll have more fun, and I hope we'll have more increased safety. And as Robin say, maybe we'll find new ways to crash the aircraft. I hope we don't use the ease of the fast engines to start it at 100 meters. You know, that's a tendency for humans.
But that's very high, according to some.
Yes. And I think that all the local politicians, they will line up to be photographed with all our electric gliders and all our green systems. I think this will be political cash, if you know what I mean. And I think also when we present the sport to new members, this will have an appeal for sure. But we need to do it now. Cannot wait 15 years. Okay, my last slide, which was kind of thing. This is actually possible now. I mean, of course, we don't have the electric pony now, but we could put solar on the hangar. We could buy an electric club garden. We could have an electric winch. Then we could generate our own electricity. We charge our own self-launching and self-sustaining gliders. We could charge the golf carts. We could charge the members' cars, electric cars. In my clubhouse uses, I checked the other day, it uses 30,000 kilowatt hours per year. I know in Sweden you are very keen on using heat pumps for heating up the houses, so I guess your clubhouses may even use more than that. I don't know, but it's a lot of energy, a lot of electricity, and you know electricity prices are not that cheap anymore, and not here in Sweden anyway. Then you can winch launch electrically, and then you can use the turbo to move to the local thermals, and you're happy. There's an example, there's more examples, but at least one example. There's one big glider airfield in Karlsruhe called the Rheinstetten, which is, I believe, 3 clubs. One of them is Karlsruhe, and they've made this collaboration with this local Bürgerstrom, something like that. It's a citizen cooperation where the citizens of the area, they have joined forces and then finance massive solar facility on the roof of the hangar. 100 kilowatt peak of solar power, that's a lot. That's kind of 15 times what you would have on a house, normal house. Then they have plowed the electric cables into the airfield so they can supply an electric winch in both runways. And now they will buy electricity from this citizen partnership that generates power off the roof at a fixed cheap price, green power, and they can launch without any noise and with green power. So that's an interesting concept, I think. So I believe my half an hour is up,
Yes.
Robin. Yeah.
Good.
Any questions?
Questions?
Your PowerPoint will be available?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. At a small fee? No.
Then I
I want a question here. What do you think about the complete drone area? I mean, there's a huge development in this area.
What do you mean, like something that will benefit us, or?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know anything about drones. Sorry, I must be honest. Yeah, but I guess they're using the same kind of technology. So if I put 2 and 2 together, they will probably help us. But then there's the airspace thing, which is a problem also to share with them. But
And then you forgot one thing.
Yeah,
The most
many
important,
things.
Yeah,
but
probably,
one
but
thing.
the most important electrical thing right now is that in another world, in this solar system, we're actually flying with a helicopter that is electrical drive. It's on Mars.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's
Still working.
That's fantastic. Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Then before we will have is Danish, so it's not necessary. Before we have coffee, I will just say a few things to heat you up, to get you angry and to want to discuss, or maybe start thinking about it. And that is, this is in Swedish because it's from my club, but this is what you say, scouting. Observations.
Yeah.
When I started flying in 1969, I'm that old, then the tow fee was 150 crowns per minute. And today it's 71 crowns per minute. And just to compare it, at the same time when I was a student pilot, we went to have lunch at the village, at the local restaurant. The meal of the day, lunch, it costed 5.75, I remember. And today, lunch costs at least 100 Swedish crowns. And that means that the tow fee has gone up by a factor of 47, but the lunch has only got up with a factor of 17. And then you should remember that it is the same tag. The tag was built in 1957 and it's still in use. So it's the cost for the same tag. And then you can start thinking, where is the pay limit? How much are we willing to pay for a tow? And then if you start to think about, in my club we have 4 gliders. We have the Ace W24, built in 1990, beautiful condition, refinished. We have a DD1000, built in 2002, beautiful condition. We have an LS8, built in 2003, beautiful condition. And we have a Duodiscus, built in 2008, beautiful condition. And we have a Super Pony, Super Cup, 180 horsepower. That was refinished 10 years ago, so it's almost new as well. And so we have a very good fleet of gliders. But then if you start thinking about this, how old the gliders are, we will fly with them for many, many years. And then you can start thinking about, like the Turbo do, and the Cub here with the fossil engines. I mean, probably we can fly with the Cub for another 50 years. But if we want to change it, and I think we will be forced to do it, I think then it's better to sell it now and buy something else. And another thing to think about that, our generation, we have a lot of people that don't believe in the global temperature, what's happening, the climate crisis, because we are so happy with what we have. But if you think about, if you look at that, that means that if we order a glider today, a new glider, it will be flown by members who are not yet born. And I'm quite sure that the next, our grandchildren, they don't know, they don't want to fly fossil-driven aircrafts or drive fossil-driven aircraft. And if you look, so that's one thing to think about. That the investments we do today will affect us for many, many years. And if you look at this is it's not built yet. It's a beautiful computer animation by some young guy at Sliders. The glider looks really nice. It will have a wing loading of 63 kilo per square meters. And with such high wing loadings, we have seen it on the JS1 and JS3. For the flight safety, it means we must have strong tacks. And then we look at, we can have a turbo schmellack. They are bloody good. And it's safe. But then we look at the fuel consumption. It's 200 liter jet fuel per hour. And at the same time at the World Championship, this summer, we are talking everywhere there is a lack of water, of fresh water. I mean, there are some nuclear power plants in France that have stopped because they are not cooling water enough. So at the World Gliding Championship, every day we tank about 20,000 liters of often fresh water in the morning, and in the afternoon we drain it all over. So then you can start thinking, is this sustainable? What we are doing? We have to start thinking outside the box. I think maybe the solution to this could be, say, maximum 40 kilo, and then we can tow with ultralights. So, and also I think the most important thing, and this is why I like this electric evolution, because for the last 20-30 years, gliding has gone down. In Sweden we have gone from 6,000 members to 2,000 members. And I think that if we start electrifying gliding, it can mean a boost to a rebirth of gliding for the next generation. So that's one of the main reasons I think that we should, when we start thinking now, what will our next glider be? It should be electric. You are not allowed to ask questions on this. It's a discussion.
This was a